Today's video is just a review video of solving equations. This is standard mastery assessment number 2. Here we're just going to go over one example, and the purpose is to unpack and solve all of these equations up here. So you can see that there's 4 equations, and what we're trying to do is figure out which 2 of these equations have the same solution. So this is just one equation. We're going to solve one equation individually for the one variable in it. So if you can see A, this is a multi-step equation, meaning there is more than one step that we are going to need to perform in order to figure out what x equals. And so when you're solving equations, the first thing that you want to do is follow these steps, and these steps apply to all equations. The first thing you want to do is simplify. And what that means is you either distribute, or if there's terms that you can combine those terms. So in this example right here, we have a multi-step equation, and I'm going to go ahead and write that under here. That way you know what type of equation this is. This is a step. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to distribute this -4. See this minus sign in front? We're going to take that with the 4 as we multiply. So we have 8, and then -4 times x is -4x. -4 times a +1 is a -4 equals 12. So we distributed by simplifying, and then again we can simplify some more by combining these like terms. Here we have an 8, and we have a -4 that we can combine. 8 plus a -4, or 8 minus 4, is 4. So we can combine those terms. Minus 4x equals 12. And now that we've simplified as much as we possibly can, we can go ahead now and start solving using inverse operations. And the first thing that you want to do is eliminate things in the reverse order of operations. So instead of eliminating the multiplication first, we're going to eliminate this 4 that's being added out in front by subtracting 4 to both sides. That is the inverse. So we have -4x equals, and then 12 minus 4 is 8. And now we can eliminate the multiplication by dividing, because that is the inverse of multiplication. And we're going to divide by what we want to eliminate. So we have x equals 8 divided by -4 is a -2. So for this first equation, our answer is -2. And that was A. Now let's go ahead and do B. Let's see, B is a 2-step equation, meaning there's 2 steps that we're going to need to perform in order to get the variable by itself. And the first step is, since there's nothing to simplify, we're going to go ahead and start using inverse operations. And the first step is to eliminate the addition by subtracting both sides. And we're left with 7x equals 19 minus 5 is 14. Now we can go ahead and divide both sides by 7, since the 7 was being multiplied to the x. And we have x equals 2. So if you look at A and B right now, they look very similar, except A equals a -2 and B equals a +2. So they're not exactly the same solution. Now we have C. 7x minus 3 equals -3x minus 23. And this type of equation is called a variable on both sides. And now with variables on both sides, since there's nothing that we can simplify and we can't combine across the equation, that's not a mathematical property, the first thing that we have to do is eliminate the variable term on one of the sides. So if you see there's an x on the left side, there's an x on the right side, we only want x on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eliminate the variable term on this side, or essentially I'm going to make this my number side. I want all numbers on this side, and I want the variable on this side. So I'm going to start by eliminating the variable on the number side by using inverse operations. So I'm going to add 3x. I'm going to add 3x. Now I can go ahead and combine the like term on this side. So 7x plus 3x is 10x minus 3 equals, and then what's left here is a -23. So I can go ahead and start eliminating the numbers now using inverse operations, just like we did in the 2-step. Right? We're going to start by eliminating the subtraction first by adding 3 to both sides. And we are left with 10x equals -23 plus 3 is a -20. And now we can go ahead and eliminate the multiplication by dividing both sides by 10. And we get x equals -20 divided by 10 is a -2. So you can see right now that both A and C have the same answer, but let's just go ahead and solve D just to make sure that we're doing this correctly. So we have 2 times 3x minus 3 equals a negative 8 plus 4x. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. This is a variables on both sides multi-step equation. So the first thing that we're going to do with the multi-step is to simplify it down. So we have 6x minus 6, we're going to distribute that 2, equals negative 8 plus 4x. And now we can eliminate the variable term on one side. I'm going to choose this side, so I'm going to use inverse operations to eliminate the variable term. Here we have 2x, so now I have 2x minus 6 equals negative 8. And now we can start using inverse operations to get x by itself. So we're going to start by adding 6 to both sides. And we have 2x equals negative 8 plus 6 is a negative 2. Then we're going to divide by 2, and we get x equals negative 2 divided by 2 is a negative 1. So you can see clearly that both A and C have the same solution. So what I'm going to do in this next slide is I'm going to take the answer, negative 2, and I'm just going to make sure that both of these actually have negative 2 as a solution. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the equation for A, 8 minus, sorry, that should be a 4. And I'm going to put in the negative 2 for x. Now, I'm going to simplify this left side, and when I simplify it, the answer that I should get is 12, because if you recall, if you found the correct number, then both sides of the equation, when simplified, should be the exact same number. So when I simplify this left side, the number I should get is 12. So let's go ahead and simplify just using order of operations. So parentheses first, negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1, and then that was being multiplied to this negative 4, and then there was this 8 that was being added in front. And now we have multiplication, so negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4, and 8 plus 4 is 12. So you can see that when we put negative 2 back in for x, we got the same exact number. So I'm just checking to make sure that we found the right number. So we did for A. Now let's check for C and make sure we did too. So I'm going to put that negative 2 in for x, and that x was being multiplied by the 7, and it was being multiplied to the negative 3. So when I simplify the left side and I simplify the right side, they both should simplify to the same value. So let's do order of operations here. We're going to multiply 7 times negative 2 is negative 14 minus 3. Negative 14 minus 3 is a negative 17. Okay, so we should get negative 17 when we simplify this side. Let's see what happens. So we have negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6 minus 23. And a 6 minus 23 is a negative 17. So you can see that we also got the same value, so we know that negative 2 is the correct answer for this one as well. That's how you check your answers with solving equations.